Welcome, everyone. My name is Lisa. I'm with the Tampa-Hillsborough County Public Library, and I'm excited to talk to you today about one of our great digital resources. We are going to take a look at Gail Presents Peterson's Career Prep. You might have seen some of our other programs featuring different Gail content. This one is structured a little bit differently, so we're going to take a look at how to get logged in and how to navigate it together. Some of the things that it can do, some of the things that you might not expect, that you might not have looked at before. So if as we're going along you have any questions, you're just going to type those into the chat box on your Teams menu. So hit that little chat bubble and you can type that into me. I'll try my best to keep an eye on it as we go along, but we will definitely have a Q&A time at the end of the program, some question and answer time at the end of the program. So get those questions in any time, and we're going to go ahead and jump in here to take a look at Peterson's Career Prep. So as with any of our programs, the easiest way to get to them is to go to the library homepage. That is hcplc.org, hcplc.org. Once you get to the library homepage, you're going to click that Learning and Research tab at the top of the screen. You'll see on the screen here, we've got that highlighted with a yellow box. Once you're on that Learning and Research tab, you're going to go to the Careers and Education area. So we've got a little yellow box around that Careers and Education button is going to be your next click. And once you're on the Careers and Education tab, you'll see Peterson's Career Prep. It's going to be right here under Career Training. So you're going to look for this logo here. Click right on that, and it'll bring up the Peterson's Career Prep homepage. So this is the layout and the picture might be a little bit different depending on when you're watching this. So as of fall 2023, this is what the Peterson's Career Prep main page looks like. You'll see navigation at the top where you have the home button, the FAQs, the frequently asked questions, and some information on how to contact them if you're having trouble with the technology. It'll be broken down by the different topics that they can help you with, and you'll also see this log in and register button in the top right-hand corner. I'll zoom in here on this. So we have this login and registration button. And just wanted to let you know that this is optional. You're not required to log in or register an account to use this. However, some of the features are going to be limited if you are not logged in. So you know, decide for yourself whether that is an appropriate step for you. Just know that some of the features might be limited if you don't have that account created, but some of them will still be, especially the tutorials, you should be able to get to without registering. As with anything, if you are going through the registration process or using any of these tools, all of the library tools are free. There's no charge. So if you're using one of the resources and you end up getting to an area where it's asking you to pay for something, you'll probably want to step back because that is not part of the library package, or it's taking you to a different site. The library services are free of charge. So let's take a look at this part of that main page, where we can find the 4 main categories that Peterson's Career Prep is really built to help us with. So the first one is making a resume. This is a great tool if you've never made a resume before, maybe, and you really need help with how to structure it, how to physically make it look. in terms of how it's laid out, how it's adjusted, and kind of what things you would put in what order. So it can be a good tool to help you with that. However, it's not ideal if you're really looking for something that you can adjust as you go along, as your career progresses. So even if you use this tool, always make a backup and save it as a Word document. The Find a Career area is really a robust tool to help you learn more about your personality, about your working traits, what you like in a work environment, to really help you find out what your new career or first career might ideally be. So think of this as something that maybe you've gone through with a guidance counselor at school at some point. It's going to be very similar, where they go through and kind of do some quizzes to get an idea of what might fit best for you. There are also some college search tools, and then some additional career training to really help you build some of those job seeking skills. So we're going to look at each of these a little bit more in depth now. So for the resume, creating a resume tool, I mentioned that it's good for kind of giving you that template, that structure or shape of the resume. It has different styles of templates kind of built in to give you a different look, depending on what you might be going for, how you're trying to represent yourself. It does have the ability to import your information from LinkedIn. So if you happen to have your professional profile on that LinkedIn service, it gives you the option of linking your account and importing that information. Now, big caveat here is that I always recommend that you proceed with caution when one service asks you to log into another one. So just remember that the privacy policies and other terms and conditions that you might agree to on one page could affect your use of a different service on a different page. So I always recommend a very, very big proceed with caution. If you want to do that, be aware of what information you're giving to which service. It does have some great example resumes built in, depending on what field you might be trying to break into, that you can look at and maybe get ideas of how that type of profession might structure their resume, the kind of information they might include or maybe would not include. And it also has some tools for both resumes and cover letters. It has a little bit more where it can get into if you're building like a professional web page for some creative careers. That can be especially important. It does have some templates on there, but that's really not something you're going to need to get into too much if you're using this to just get your career started. No matter what you do, always, always, always back up your information. Don't rely on this service to keep your resume ready for you forever. Whenever you use this tool or any tool like this, you always want to take that information and export it, ideally as a kind of document that you can edit. So I always recommend saving it as a Word document and saving that maybe to a flash drive or saving it to a cloud. If you maybe have an email it to yourself. But always save a backup of anything that you create using a service like this. And whenever possible, if it gives you the option, export it as a file type that you can edit. So that down the road, if something changes, or maybe if you notice a typo that you want to fix, you don't have to go through all the steps of logging back into the service to make that change. You can just edit it on your own now that you have your nicely formatted document. With this template builder, it's going to look just like this, where it starts you off with a completely blank resume, and it's going to give you prompts, and all you have to do is click in those and type in your information, and it'll automatically update that with the format that is kind of set for that template. And we'll try this out a little bit later. We'll actually go to the live website and click on it and see how that works. But it's very much a click on the thing, type in your version of the information, and plug and play, fill in the blank. Whenever you see this little arrow here, this little caret, that's a drop-down menu, and if you click on that, it'll give you these different options or whichever options apply to that menu. The menu that you see on the left on the page is going to kind of be your way of navigating through the resume builder section. So the home button will always take you back to the start page for the resume. The appearance kind of lets you adjust the look of the resume, the colors, the fonts, that kind of thing. Page layout is just that. It's going to have those blocks of information adjusted in different layouts that can help you kind of either make it draw visual attention to one area versus another. And again, we'll take a quick look at that later on. Example resumes are available there. If you already have a resume and you want to import it into this to work on it or to use it, that's an option. There are more templates. Settings and history. History is going to show what you've done while you've been logged into that service, whereas settings is really going to be where you're going to be able to adjust how you save that document, what formats you're using when you save it, and how to export it. So clicking those save options will let you make a name for your new resume. The privacy, it'll give you the option of having it be an export document, or a document that's not exportable will be one that'll have like a URL or a website. And I'm not going to recommend this for most people. For most people, you want to export it as a document. The URL is really not ideal in a way that's usable for most job applications. So always, always, always save that Word document. If you can, save that PDF. If you can, save it as both options, but definitely save it as a document and not just a shareable URL. So define the resumes that you already have started. Now remember, it's only going to remember your stuff if you're logged in. You're going to click that resumes button at the top, and it'll show up all of the different resumes that you've created down here. Now, if there's one that's kind of your main resume, you can click that button and pin it and have it be right at the top of the list there. But otherwise, it'll just have them all listed down here. You might have different resumes for different specialties, different fields that you might be applying for, just to tailor them a little bit more. And once you click on that, you'll see this button down here. This is where you can download this resume as a Word document. So as you finish stuff up, as you work on your edits, whenever you're done, download that Word copy, save it, email it to yourself, have that backup. All right, so the next tab we're going to look at is the Find a Career. This is, I'm going to say, one of the more fun parts of this tool because it has some really interesting and fun quizzes that you can do to really narrow in on what job type might be best for you. So it's broken down into 4 areas: interests, values, personality, and workplace preferences. Let's take a quick look at how we start on that. So when you click on this on that main Peterson's page, it's going to bring up this screen here where you can start your assessments. And when you start your assessments, it's going to go right into that first interest-based quiz. So this one here. And when you've kind of gone through and done all of them, you can review them on this screen here. It'll have them all together. So if you just click on that assessments at the top, it'll pull up all the ones that you've completed. You don't have to do all 4 of them. You could just do the 1, the 2, the 3, or all 4. But once you've done that, you can kind of look at your results and see what it says for that specific category or what it says overall. It'll have a download button at the top. Again, always recommend downloading copies of any of this stuff. Email it to yourself, save it to a USB, or save it to your hard drive. But once you've done these assessments, the fun thing that you can do once you've had that fun part of it, is to explore the career matches, where it's going to go through and based on the results within these categories, give you the results of what that actually means in terms of which job might be the best for you. And when you click on that, you'll get this Explore My Matches. You can also, once you've done those quizzes, go right to that Jobs tab. So that's not just going to give you the job types or the job fields that would be good for you. That's actually going to take you to job search sites and specifically pull up those jobs that fall within the results of your quiz. So that's a really interesting way to maybe find jobs based on your interests versus what you think might be a good job fit. It's definitely fun to look at. When you're job hunting, there is sometimes not a lot of joy in that process. So this can be a little bit of an interesting and fun and hopefully very productive way to do that search. If your path is a job that might require a college degree, they have some university search options, search tools that will help you find the school that might be a good fit for you to get that degree for the job for the dream job. It has ways that you can filter results based on either the subject or the topic. Sometimes the admissions requirements, some schools have a fairly lengthy admissions process with a lot of hoops to jump through. Some don't. Can let you narrow that down, or maybe search based on what the average cost is. Tons of more options to really filter that down and find a school that would be a good fit. So you'll see that on the left-hand side where you'll have the options to filter those down. And that fourth column there is the advice one. This is really the more of the educational part of it, where it's going to have actual lessons and quizzes for, are you ready for job searches? Are you doing a good job with, do you really know how to build that resume, build that cover letter? So it's going to be more of a class-based, video-based course where it teaches these skills and then has quizzes to see, to do an assessment to see how you're doing with those. It also has some really interesting topics, especially for folks who might be already in the workforce and making a career transition, especially if anyone is going from military to civilian. It has some great tutorials in there. Or maybe you want to work overseas, whether that's with a private company, with the federal government. It has some courses on there for how to prepare for that, how to find those kinds of jobs. This is kind of what it looks like when you pull up that career library. You'll see the navigation bar at the top. If your screen's a little bit bigger or smaller, it might appear as a left-hand navigation column, but it'll be the same content, just as a menu tab on the left. And if you click that home button, that'll also bring up this same navigation option. Course home, that's the page that we were just looking at, and the content really breaks down those different topics that I was mentioning, like the career transitions. That's where you would find those specific modules. So this is a quick summary of what we just looked at. We'll look at this a minute and then we will try out the website in real time here. So if there's anything that you would like to look at on the homepage while I've got it pulled up here, let me know, because I'll pull that up specifically. I definitely want to make this a productive webinar for you. So if there's a specific area you would like to look at, let me know. Put the topic in the chat box and I will gladly navigate to that. We'll do a quick summary here while you're typing that in. The Peterson's Career Prep is really ideal for those who are just entering the workforce, just learning how to find a job, how to be in a job, how to build those skills. But it's also helpful for career transitions, people looking to make a big change in how they work. So that's going to be a super helpful tool. If you ever need a shortcut that you want to save, hcplc.org/careers will bring you up all those resources, or just do the navigation like we did when we first logged in. Okay, I am going to pull up the library's homepage screen. I'll see if I can share that with you instead. All right, so we are now looking at the library's homepage, and we are going to go to that Learning and Research tab at the top of the screen. We come down here and click on the Careers in Education, and then go to the Peterson's Career Prep. You log in with your library card number and PIN. All right. Oh, well, that's a beautiful view on the Gail Peterson's Career Prep. Love that sunset view. All right, so I don't see any questions in the chat right now, so I'm going to pop into the Create a Resume tool just so that we can take a look at how that template works. All right, so once you're logged in, you'll see that I pinned the resume that I was working on. Started working on a little bit of an example resume for you here, and I pinned it so that we could find it quickly. So if you go to that edit button here, that'll let you update it or change it. The download PDF downloads only the PDF version. It does not download the Word document version. The share, that's the link sharing. We don't really want to do that for the most part. And the three dots, this context menu here, will give you the option to download the Word document. But we are going to open it up so that we can see how to edit it. So we've got our template here. You'll see it gives you the option to upload a picture. Depending on where you are applying, some professions, some careers will have a requirement for a picture on the resume. Similarly, some countries, it's standard to have a picture on your resume, no matter what you're applying for. So where I'm from in Germany, you always have a picture on a resume no matter what. Most jobs in the US, you would not have a picture on the resume. So just be aware of if that's something that is standard for your location or your industry. So up here, it gave me the option to type in a name. So my fictional person's name is Jane Doe, and Jane Doe is a baker. You can type in your city, state, your phone number, your email, and if you have a website, a professional website, you can add it there. Some will choose to add a LinkedIn profile here. That's an option. And here is where you can add sections or edit sections. So for summary, I put in, I've baked many tasty treats. And looking at it, I can see that's not really a section that I need on my resume. It doesn't really give the employer a lot of information that they wouldn't already have. So I'm going to delete this section. To do that, you just go on this red garbage can button, and they'll say, are you sure you want to delete this? And just go, yep, and get rid of it. In the work experience area, it'll have another field where you can add in information. So I've already put 2 in there. I wrote that I was a contestant baker on the Great Bookish Bake Off. That sounds like a very delicious job. Or maybe the head break room baker, also very important work. And if you want to add a new position, you just click that add entry, type in your title, the company, and give that short description of what you did when you were there, some important information about it, and your start date and end date. So you can keep adding those as much as you need to. If you need to move them around because maybe they got out of order, maybe you added something that should have come earlier, you can just use these arrows at the left and right to move those. Most resumes, it's best if your top experience is your most recent experience, and then you work back in time. So your most recent position first, and then go back from there. If you need to add a section with different kinds of information, you could add that here where you put maybe your education, where you went to school. In most cases, you would keep it simple and start from your highest education, the highest level that you finished, you would put first, and then you would go back until usually either a high school graduation or if you had a special certificate, anything like that, but you would put the highest one first and work your way back from there. No need to go back farther than high school. They don't want to know your grade school for most jobs. But yeah, you can see where you can add different sections here. And when you're done, you can either change the layout, or you can adjust where these boxes are and where the page breaks are. You can adjust the appearance, where you can change the font. Never use fancy fonts. Keep it simple for resumes. And that, yeah. So very straightforward in terms of click the different options, fill in the blank, and when you're done, at the top, you have this download option again. So you'll probably want to download that as a Word document. And it'll pull up a pop-up usually. If you don't have pop-ups enabled, you might get an error message and have to allow pop-ups for it to work. All right, so that download went to my computer and we're good to go. There we are. So if you have any questions, get those into the chat box. We'll get to them before we wrap up for the day. If you were looking at some of our other Spotlight programs that highlight other resources, we've touched on a number of them. You can find those on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tampa Hills Lib. That's our YouTube channel there. And if you click on playlists, you'll find the other Spotlight programs there. If you have a cell phone handy, you could scan this QR code and also get to that section. So youtube.com/Tampa Hills Lib and check out that Spotlight playlist. All right, that wraps us up for the evening. If we don't have any more questions in the chat, I'll let you know. If you think of your question later and want to reach out, just go to hcplc.org/contact or give us a call at 813-273-3652. So we're there during normal library business hours. You'll also find a button on there for that Ask a Librarian feature. They are super helpful and will help you find that resource again if you ever have trouble finding it later on, or have any other questions about library and community resources. If you want to look for an upcoming program on our calendar, hcplc.org/events will get you to our events calendar, and we do hope you'll join us for those. We have a number of programs still coming up. We have a resume basics class coming up, I believe, in early December. So check that out. That's going to be a great program led by one of our branch librarians for us. But if you're looking for programs, whether they're online or at your local branch, check out that calendar, hcplc.org/events. Thank you all so much for joining me, and we hope to see you back here for another program soon. Have a good evening, everyone.